Hey guys, just kind of want to get this video out because it's kind of been bothering me because over the last 2 days I've been getting into really unnecessary bouts with people regarding the concept of religion and stuff. So I kind of just wanted to make a quick video. Um, it's kind of like, okay, say for instance I told somebody, you know, oh, I bench 650 or something. A person's first impulse would be prove it. You know, oh, you bench 650. All right, let's go to the gym right now. We'll put 650 on the bar and let's see if you can do it. It wouldn't be to just have faith that I do, and rightfully so. If I make a claim of something, I should be able to have to back that claim up or at least provide enough evidence that that claim is true. But it seems weird to me that you could make a claim. A couple of days ago, it actually got really popular on my Facebook. There was an article about the beheadings of Christian uh, women and children in Iraq by the ISIS regime, and there was people on Facebook somehow turning that into an argument about the glory of God, like, oh, these people are bravely sacrificing themselves for the glory of God, and people were saying, oh, people were using pictures of decapitated babies and women and innocent people with their heads on pikes and being crucified, and they were saying, oh, God is good all the time, or something along those lines. I can't wait to meet my Father in heaven. And I posed a simple question. Where was God when these people were being decapitated, when they were being tortured and slaughtered like they weren't worth anything? And somehow the Facebook community lashed out at me. I got some good insight from Christians who I do respect, because I don't want to make it seem like I don't respect Christians, or religious people, because I actually got a lot of friends who I've talked to in depth about it, and they seem to have a pretty good hold on what religion in theory should do to you as a person, and how it should make you feel about your fellow man and how it should make you feel about life. And I'm cool with that. If you get religion, if you get all good things out of religion and it teaches you to be a better person and to learn lessons and things like that, I'm cool with that. It's these people who are, real men love Jesus, or no Jesus, no peace, or if you don't accept Jesus, you go to hell, or if you don't love Jesus, somehow you're a devil worshiper or something. Those are the people I got a problem with, because if you engage these people, attempt to engage these people in logical conversation, and you say, okay, why is this the way this is? If your God says this, they immediately start the cop-out tactics. And cop-out tactics to me are saying, oh, I know this is true because this part of the Bible says this chapter, this verse says this, or I just have faith, and you just have to have faith, or you don't understand because you're not a Christian, so you could never understand what God's way is. How do you understand? Because if I'm being led to believe, the correct thing, it's that God's will is unfathomable for all people, righteous or unrighteous, Christian or Jewish or Muslim or whatever. If he's omniscient, you don't have the slightest idea what his will is, or what his way is, or what he wants for you, or what he wants for the world. So how could you judge somebody else for not knowing God's plan, and you don't know it? You don't have the slightest idea, because he's supposed to be omniscient, and his layer, or his level of thinking, it isn't even supposed to be something that the human brain could fathom. So even if you were right, you're just as clueless as I am about it. So how could you judge somebody else? And I mean, it's just a lot of, hypocrisy going on in those regards. And when I get going on religion, which I try not to, because I try to be as positive as I can on my page and everything. And but religion and politics are two things that get me riled up just like everybody else. But it gets me riled up on a different level because I hate to think that this is the state of human consciousness and human thinking. Because in any other situation, people would want answers, people want evidence, people want proof of stuff. And when it comes to God, people don't want answers, people don't want proof, people don't want evidence. People just want to say, that's just faith. I and it moved to the state to where people put more into the idea of a God who isn't physically present, and they put that over the needs and over the welfare of people who are here, who you can physically see. I mean, the way I see it, quite honestly, if homosexuality was in the American Psychologists Association book of mental disorders, I really think staunch, a purist religious view should be as well. Because if you see the things that people say, and a lot of people say, they're a bad representation of what the religion stands for and everything like that. But if you take a purist view of the Bible or of any of the main religious sects, that is kind of what the representation is supposed to be. Because the Bible depicts God as a very jealous, vengeance, angry person, not person, but angry deity, angry force. And if people actually read through the Bible, which I have from cover to cover, I believe about 4 times at this point, you would notice that the Bible is actually a very, very violent piece of work. Now, there's very beautiful and meaningful parables and, very poetic and, intimate things that have the power to empower us as people in the Bible, as well as in the Quran, as well as in, the Old Testament or the Torah, but people seem to pick and choose things out of the Bible. People seem to pick and choose, the times that, in the Bible that God was gracious and loving and merciful to his people, and then don't want to address the times that he was very angry and vengeful and slaughtered, slaughtered countless people and inflicted plagues upon them. Inflicted plagues upon, many for the actions of the few. And, it's, if you think about it, if you step inside, if you're a religious person, you step outside your box. If you read something that was notably, like they said, this is a piece of fiction, and you read that, there's no way you would believe in that supreme power, and you would love and revere that supreme power. You would say that this character is a tyrant. This character wants nothing but the monopoly of all of man's submission. And why would somebody revere that person? The actions of God are more of fear tactics than it is of love. And I've talked to a lot of Christians about the subject, and they seem to think that these things are done out of love. I mean, there's plenty of crimes of passion, that people do to other people, but you would never say, that man murdered his wife and children out of love just because he got jealous that his wife is friends with one of her male coworkers, or something like that. You would never try to justify that. So why would you justify the slaughtering of human beings over in the Middle East as those people are being martyrs for the Lord, or because they didn't convert to another religion, they had to be sacrificed, but that's okay because they're in some kind of kingdom right now, enjoying life and chilling and stuff. Like, how insane must you be to actually, subscribe to that kind of thinking? To think somebody's head being sawed off. I mean, I've seen the pictures. I like to get a feel for what's in the world. So when videos like that do come out in pictures, I watch them and I look at them because I'm under no kind of false impression that the world is some friendly, kind place. I'm aware of the evils of the world. So, I mean, I've seen the pictures. I've watched the videos. It's not like the movies. Somebody getting their head cut off. It's not one quick swing and then your head magically falls off. These people's deaths were so violent and grotesque that you couldn't even fathom, the amount of pain that they probably went through. This decapitation is not a painless death, especially when it's being done with hand tools. Those people's heads were sawed off, and they were alive for a lot of the time. They were being sawed off. The human body feels pain for a very long time, especially when it's a death that slow. So, I mean, that pushes me the wrong way, but that should push any rational person the wrong way. Like, how dare you, from the safety of your own home, somehow applaud or put a positive note onto, people who are suffering unimaginable things abroad, and then using God's glory for the justification for it. That's nuts to me. I don't understand how anybody could take something positive out of that. All these brave people, were faced by these Muslim savages, and they refused to rebuke Jesus Christ, so they met a glorious end, and now they're going to be with him in heaven. What? What are you talking about? Those little kids don't give a shit about Jesus or any of that. They're little kids. All they know is what they've been told by their parents from when they were born. They haven't been able to explore other cultures of the world. They don't have any thought or a way of mind for themselves. All they know is what they were taught as children. They didn't want to be martyrs. No little kid wants to get their head chopped off in the name of somebody they've never even seen before. I don't even understand the type of thinking that goes into that. And for people to justify, people dying, I mean, there's no right way to die, but there's definitely a wrong way, and that's the wrong way to die. And for people to justify the wrong way of dying by saying, in the afterlife, there's going to be nothing but paradise and bliss. Why is it that people's heads are so far stuck in the clouds that they don't give a shit what's happening on the ground with their fellow people? That's sadistic, and it's classic. That's just being a sociopath, like not giving a shit about the physical suffering and pain of others just because you believe their soul is going to be at ease in another realm of existence. And a lot of this is what made me atheist, because a lot of people think I've been atheist since day one. No, I used to be Christian. I was raised in a Christian household. My father is still Christian. He's still, a very, very staunch Christian. And the more you actually look into these things, the further it drove me away from it. Whereas people say, if you get in your Bible and you actually read it, you'll become a believer. Me getting in the Bible and reading it, and I read it. I didn't skim like a lot of people do. I didn't pick and choose, the most uplifting verses and most uplifting stories from the Bible like a lot of people do, because I'll get into an argument with somebody and they'll reference something from the Bible and I'll reference something right back, and I can tell they never even read that part. So, you have to read these things as a scholar as much as trying to uplift yourself, because, there's a difference between you having a personal connection with a higher power, which I have no problem with. You having if you have your own relationship with your idea of a god or anything like that, that's fine. But there's a thin line between that uplifting you and you losing your humanity for others. Because what I see now is all these people, who love God with all their heart, their love for other people starts to dwindle, and their respect for, actual facts and actual things that science and history has shown us, it starts to dwindle, and you lose a lot of credibility in a discourse with somebody if you can't even acknowledge things that have been proven to be true scientifically and historically. If you just keep telling me, just read the Bible, or you just keep telling me, you just don't have any faith, so you don't understand, or that's not meant for us to understand, that's only for God to understand. I'm not going to respect your opinion on the matter, because at the end of the day, evidence trumps all. It's not about what you think is true, it's about what you can prove is true. And, I understand I can't prove there isn't a God as much as you can't prove that there is. But if what I'm being given so far and what humanity has actually been given, not symbolically given, but actually given so far in the scope of humanity, is just what we've been able to empirically, experience, and what has been written down and recorded as fact, then the argument's kind of leaning more towards in my favor than yours. Because if we're to go off of, evolution, natural catastrophes, transmigrational change of peoples and cultures over the scope of history, then I don't believe that there's a God up there, saying, I'm watching you. I'm not going to come down here, but I'm watching you. Isn't it rational to think that the earth is God? I mean, that all of space and the atmosphere and everything else is God? Because, anything that had any great thing in history that hasn't happened because of man happened because of nature, and happened because of the cycles of the earth and of the universe around us. So, if you were to believe in a God, it'd be more rational and reasonable to believe that the earth is a living, breathing, supreme being over us, or that it's a part of the universe, which is an even bigger living, breathing, supreme being. So I kind of have a tendency to make really, really fucking long videos that I doubt most of you are going to watch anyway. But, if you can comment your thoughts on it, if you agree with me, say something. If you don't agree, which a lot of you probably won't, go ahead and comment something. Because I think it's important to talk about these things. A lot of people, they have an opinion about everything in the world, but when you say something about religion, all of a sudden they don't want to talk about it, and they're offended that you talked about it, So, I don't know, hit me up. I love talking about the subject. I'm an open book. Anything you want to know about me, I really don't give a fuck. Like, I'll tell you. And, I just like having intelligent conversations with people, because I think open communication is the key to understanding, which is the key to basically all things in humanity. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Subject to or contrary to what people believe, asking questions and having discourses isn't the devil's work. That's just what you're supposed to do because you have a brain. But all right, guys.